And Father bless him.
Okay, so as he said, I've been going through mortal hell, essentially. To the point where if I would have had a gun, I wouldn't be here today. I mean, that's just how it is. I had a lot of stuff been going on. My granddad ended up in a hospital. My granddad's 87 years old. He's a retired cop, retired Navy. He had a heart attack. One thing started pushing me over the edge. Well, my grandmother got real depressed. The way he's been talking to my grandmother, they've been married since they were 16 years old. We all wish for a love like that. And, well, I had a friend that's been a friend since the 8th grade. She was my best friend in 8th grade. I grew up in, I don't know if y'all know, but I grew up in the foster home. I was abused physically, mentally, emotionally, and sexually as a young child and adult. I had a lot of hatred in my heart, a lot of bitterness, and a lot of anger towards people that have done me wrong, such as my mom, my dad, my brothers, my sisters, and even girls from past relationships. And I held on to that bitterness, and I've let my past control who I am today. And I didn't realize until the other week that that's what was really going on. My friends from the 8th grade, we lost contact for a long time. We reunited back in 2017. We moved back to Georgia. And, we've been friends since. Well, last week she also informed me that she couldn't be friends no more because she had started falling in love with me. Now, this is a girl that I had been in love with since I was in the 8th grade. Linda knows this. I told Linda. However, I think some of my feelings came back that I wanted to hide and I didn't want to admit. And so therefore it took away from Linda and my relationship. I will always love that girl. She was always there for me in the 8th grade. And so when she told me that she couldn't be friends no more because she was falling in love with me, it really hurt me. She was always there for me. And when I was in foster care, group homes, foster homes, to foster homes, she was always there. She was always there for me to talk to. And so it became apparent that apparently my feelings were a little stronger for her than what I wanted to admit or wanted to believe. And like I said, I'd always loved the girl. She's always been there for me. When nobody else was, she was there. So it really hurt me and put me in more of a depression, along with what's going on with my granddad and what's going on with how she done me and everything. And she pretty much walked out of my life like everybody else has. So I started to realize that maybe it's not them. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the reason they walked out. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's me screwing up somehow. I don't know what I was doing wrong. Like, I try to be nice. I try to love everybody. I try to, give without receiving. I try to do what I think the Lord would have me to do. But how can I really do that and be true to them or anybody else if I'm not true to myself? Right? How am I true to myself if I can't forgive those that have wronged me? If I can't forgive them and truly forgive them and look past that,
Amen.
then how do I really live?
That's right.
How am I going to be true to myself and be my true self and give my true self to others if I can't give my true self to myself? If I can't truly love myself, how can I love others? So I've realized I've got to empty my heart of the bitterness, of the anger, of the pain from the others that have wronged me. So I messaged my father that hasn't been there my whole life. I know who he is. I've talked to him. But have I truly forgiven him? At that point, I had so much hatred towards my father, dude. He was never there. As my uncles. My uncles are dead and gone. They were my father's because they're gone. So needless to say, I started with him. I messaged him, said, hey, I need you to call me. He called me. What's going on, son? So I just want to let you know if you ever feel like I've wronged you, I'm sorry. I appreciate it if you forgive me. I'm asking you to forgive me. He said, son, you've never wronged me. I've never felt like that. But I appreciate it. I said, and I want to let you know that I forgive you. He goes, you do what? I said, I forgive you for not being there. He goes, well, that wasn't my fault. That was my mother's fault, or your mother's fault. I said, I ain't getting into the blame game. The fact is, you was never there. You didn't try. I love you regardless of that, and I forgive you. He's like, well, I appreciate it. It means a lot, and I'll try to get down there to see you before Christmas.
Amen.
So now I'm liable to get to see my father for the first time in about 10 years.
Praise God.
So then I called my mother, or I messaged my mother on Facebook, and I tell her, Mom, I need you to call me. She said, what is it? I said, I just need you to call me. She said, well, I'm at somebody's house. I'm busy. I said, I don't care whose house you're at. She goes, well, what's going on? I said, I just need to talk to my mom. Now, I never called her mom, so she knew something was going on because I don't call her mom. I called her Jody, which is her name, or I called her mother. I had that much hatred and bitterness in my heart for her. She had me locked up so many times. I was abused by her boyfriends, her husbands that she's been married to. She calls me. When she calls me from a restricted number. I answer it, and I tell her, if you ever feel like I've wronged you, I'm sorry and I need you to forgive me. She said, son, I want you to know I never stop praying for you. I pray for every one of my kids every day that God brings them back to Him. She goes, not just you, but Alan, Bailey, and even Taylor. Y'all were raised in church. So I pray every day that God will bring you back to Him. I said, well, I'm going to church. I've been doing a lot of praying and a lot of soul searching. I just want you to know I love you and I forgive you. And for the first time in a long time, my mother, I heard her cry.
Praise God.
I heard her crying, and she said, son, I love you too.
Praise God.
And those are words I haven't heard my mom really say and mean in a long time. And so I told her, I said, well, listen. I said, I need you to do me a favor. She said, well, what's that? My oldest boy's mom, her name's Angel. My mom had custody of my son because his mother lost him. Well, then, my mom had so much hatred and bitterness towards me that she let that dictate mine and my son's relationship. I haven't seen my son in over 3 years. I haven't talked to him in over 3 years. The last time I talked to him was 3 years ago on Christmas, and that's because I snuck to my grandmother's without anybody knowing. And I caught him there. And if I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't have seen my son. So, I tell her I need you to have her contact me. Next day, I get a call on the phone from a restricted number. Again, I think it's just my mom telling me, hey, she's not going to call you. You know, she don't want nothing. She ain't got nothing to say to you. I answer the phone, and on the other line, it's my son's mother.
Praise the Lord.
It's my son's mother. And she said, what is it? What do you need to talk about? In a kind of, mean tone. I said, Angel, I just want you to know that if you ever feel like I've wronged you, and I know you do, or if I've hurt you, which I know you feel like that, I said, I want you to know that I'm sorry. and I'd like for you to forgive me. I'm sorry for the way I treated you. I'm sorry. Back then, I wasn't the best boyfriend at all. I would be verbally abusive, mentally abusive, never really physically abusive, but I would be verbally and mentally abusive. I wasn't raised like that. I wasn't. But because of all the hatred and bitterness in my heart and all the stuff that was going on, that's just how I was. Well, I told her I was sorry and I asked her for forgiveness. And she said, I'm glad to hear it and I appreciate it. She goes, it means a lot. And I said, I want you to know that I forgive you too. You're my son's mother. I can't hold any ill will towards you. I can't hold bitterness or anger in my heart towards you no more. It's got too much control over my life now because of all the stuff that I've done in the past. It's come back to haunt me and bite me in the butt. So I talked to her for a little bit and tell her what's going on and tell her I've been in church and I've been doing a lot of praying and everything. And she says, hey. I said, yeah. She goes, how would you feel about talking to your son?
Praise God.
I said, I would love nothing more. I said, but can you video chat me on Facebook? She goes, how about you set up Google Duo? It's a video chat app. So for the first time in 3 years, I got to video chat my son and got to see my son. And my son's been going through a lot, and it's probably because of me. It's probably because of the way of me not being in his life because I wasn't being allowed to be in his life. My son is now 10 years old. That's me and him video chatting for the first time in 3 years.
Amen.
Wow.
That boy is my firstborn, my heart and my soul. All my kids are. But that one especially because he was my firstborn.
Yeah.
My son has been hitting his mother. He has been stealing. He has been talking inappropriately. He has even tried to touch his sisters inappropriately. I do not know where he's gotten it from because I have never done anything inappropriate in front of him but of him. Never would I. My son needs a lot of prayers. Last week at school, he, on the playground, told a little black girl that he don't like black people.
Whoa.
I've got a mixed son. His brother is mixed. And he told her, I've got guns at home, and I know how to use them.
Holy cow.
So, my son is going through a lot, and I think it's stemmed off of me not being able to be there. But hopefully all that's going to change as me and his mother are talking and trying to set up a time where we can all meet and I can actually see my son and hold my son, not just see him through a screen. So I've come to this realization that, I wasn't true to myself and I had to forgive. Well, I started forgiving and I started feeling this weight lifted off of me that I haven't felt in a long time. Like I literally felt 10 pounds lighter. And I called Steve the day that I talked to my son, and I told him it's such a joy to know that God was actually starting to bless me and show me the blessings that I didn't feel like I was doing it for nothing.
Yeah.
My mom has messaged me yesterday. My grandmother is really depressed again. Hasn't been able to see my granddad and wants to go see him today. And asked me if I can come take him. Or come take her to go see him. told her I really don't know right now. I had to go to church. She goes, well, after church will be fine. So, here in a little bit, after we have church and after we eat or whatever, we're probably going to have to head out so I can go take my grandmother and see my granddaddy. And spend some time with them.
Amen.
And, but guys, look, if you ever got bitterness in your heart, if you've ever wronged anybody, if you ever felt like you was wrong, don't hold on to it. I promise you it's not worth the pain. It's not worth the heartache. And trust me, I know better than anybody right now. I've called 5 of my exes, if not more, and told them the same thing that I told my mother, my dad, and my son's mother. One of which was my ex-wife. She wouldn't even talk to me. I have nothing to say to you. I said, well, look, I'm sorry if you feel that. I'm sorry you feel that way. And I'm sorry if you feel like I've done you wrong or hurt you. I said, but I forgive you. And I hope you forgive me. She says, I have no ill will towards you, but I have nothing to say to you. She's also the mother of one of my little boys, my next son. And I asked her, I said, Maria, I'd love to see my child. I'd love to see my son. He's now going on 7 years old, and I have never, to this day, seen or talked to him. Ever. Ever. And she replied back with, let me get one thing clear. He's not your son. Yes, he's biologically yours, but he's not yours. You've never raised him, you've never seen him, you've never been there for him. And while she's right, I have never seen him and I have never been there for him, and I have never talked to him. It was not of my own choice. Because I have begged her for 7 years to let me see him and let me be in his life. Just because of mine and her divorce does not mean I'm a bad dad. It does not mean that I'm a bad person at all. And that really hurt. Started throwing me under. I was so happy I was coming out. I felt the weight lifted off of me. And her reply, he's not your son. I raised him. You're right, you have. But you raised him by your choice, not mine. Because I wanted to be there. I would love nothing more than me and every one of my kids' lives. But I told her, I said, okay, I'm sorry you feel that way. I had to bite the bullet. Sorry you feel that way. Just know that I love my son. Whether you tell him or not, you need to know that I love my son. How can you love somebody you've never met?
That's it.
That's my flesh and blood. How can I love Jesus? I ain't never met him.
That's right.
How can I love God when I ain't never seen him or hugged him or met him face to face? That's my flesh and blood. I always love him regardless of meeting him or seeing him.
Yep.
And I know there's a reason behind it. I know God has a reason for it. As I don't know what the reason is, there's a reason.
Things take time.